Tips from Trestle is brought to you by eMenu Choice Point of Sale, Wyzox AI, and Benny Keith Foods. Welcome to Tips from Trestle, the Senior Living Food and Hospitality Podcast. This podcast explores the senior living industry with a unique focus on food, hospitality, and the community experience. I'm your host, Aaron Fish. My goal for this podcast: educate, inform, and inspire leaders in senior living. How? By bringing the resident and customer experience to the front of mind in our industry. We should bring the passionate spirit of food and hospitality to everything that we do and everyone we serve each and every day. So what are we waiting for? Let's get to it. Today on Tips from Trestle, my guest is Mary Kieffer. Mary is the Traveling Nutrition and Culinary Director and Project Manager for eMenu Choice for Presbyterian Homes and Services based in St. Paul, Minnesota. She has been with PHS for almost 12 years, starting on the dining room floor as a server and working her way up to her current role. Also in that time, she was able to attend the University of Minnesota, earning a degree in dietetics. Mary, thanks for joining me today on Tips from Trestle.
Thank you for having me.
I am looking forward to our conversation. I think the first thing I want you to do is explain the difference between Presbyterian Homes and Services from what I would think of and what our listeners might think of as a traditional CCRC. So please tell us a little bit more about Presbyterian Homes and Services continuum of care model.
Yeah, so at PHS, we offer what's called a continuum of care, which includes multi-level residential living options with a range of health and medical services available to residents and non-residents, including home health care, hospice, home-delivered meals, prescription services, transitional care, all of those things. By offering this continuum of care at PHS, it really aims to provide a seamless transition for residents and older adults in the greater community and their needs as they evolve.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting because as we were planning, there was information you shared about this preferred language, because it's really important because we think of in senior living, oh, we're going to talk about residents, we're going to talk about communities. We don't want to use terms like patient or client or things like that. But for you, with this continuum that you have, it's important to use all of the above in some of your language. So I'd love for you to expand a little bit on that. So as we're talking, our listeners know more about how you're using those phrases.
Yeah, we use terms like older adults, residents, if they are a non-resident and they're coming in for therapy services, they are a client. We also use the term community because this is a big community and we treat everyone as such, whether you're at one community or another. We're all a big community at Press Homes. And then we're a senior living community. We do recognize that older adults move in and they may still be working. So we are a senior living community as well.
Yeah. And I do appreciate that. I'm very mindful, especially in my work, right? I don't like terms building or facility, or I had a client recently that kept using the term patient. I mean, he was a doctor, so that's his language, right? And so it's important that we understand there's special terminology based on the services we're providing. And so the reason we're talking today is in thinking about how Presbyterian Homes and Services looked at the use of point of sale, looking at what do you need for that service? How can you improve upon the services you're providing to your residents in the senior living community? And so I'd love for you to talk a little bit about how you use point of sale when you look at your model. How do you look at creating a seamless experience across all of the various levels of care and venues you have to support that?
Yeah, so when we were looking into a point of sale system, we wanted to create a seamless transition into a point of sale system for what we currently offer. So the most important thing is keeping our residents safe. So how can we find a point of sale system that also helps us keep our residents safe? So that was leading us into eMenu Choice. We found eMenu Choice has the integration with Point Click Care and Residex. The integration with that helps keep our residents safe. across any care continuum that they're in, whether they're independent or in a care center or in transitional care. That was really important to us to be able to keep our residents safe. So eMenu is where we landed with a point of sale system because of that.
I'm working with clients and we are talking about point of sale, and some of their criteria is they're looking at multi-unit, like multi-location stuff, but the safety and well-being of residents is always a piece of the puzzle. And those integrations with existing systems, I think, are so key. And so you think about, how do I integrate so I can maintain that safety with this new system? When you looked at eMenu Choice and some of your existing technologies, what did you and the team at PHS do to make sure that you were doing this in a smooth and effective way?
Yeah. We had a lot of manual tracking processes. Manual being whether it's communication of diet changes in an allergen. They went to the hospital, they came back, and they're on a different diet, or an allergen was flagged, an intolerance was flagged. There was a lot of manual processes with that, unfortunately. So that was one thing that, with the integrations with Point Click Care and Residex, that integration with eMenu allowed us to have visibility to that right away. So we're keeping our residents safe that way.
The clients I work with typically tend to be either smaller operators or newer operators. And so they think, well, I got to get my EHR, I've got to get my CRM. Okay, great. I'm up and running. Let's go. And they don't think about something as necessary as a point of sale. And so they'll have paper tickets or, like you said, forms for diet changes and allergies. And so when you think about taking a program that is basically paper and transitioning it to electronic, what were some of the struggles that you encountered as you were integrating across your entire portfolio?
Technology continues to drive changes in senior care, and that includes food service. eMenu Choice is an award-winning point-of-service application for managing the dining function in senior living communities. This mobile, touchscreen-enabled software enhances the dining experience for residents while streamlining processes for staff. The flexibility and functionality of eMenu Choice makes it an effective solution for any type of senior living environment, from independent and assisted living to skilled nursing facilities. It works for production kitchens or restaurant-style service with options for per meal or a la carte pricing, and accommodates a variety of payments, including bill to account, meal credits, and credit cards. Created by a senior care provider with more than a century of experience serving older adults, eMenu Choice eliminates communication barriers between staff and residents while enabling person-centered choices and greater resident satisfaction. eMenu Choice, transforming dining for senior living.
I think the biggest struggle was recognizing that this isn't just a culinary function. This was a Press Homes wide point of sale system. We recognized fairly early on that we needed to get clinical teams involved. We needed to get the billing teams involved. It wasn't just culinary. So getting in front of those teams ahead of time to say, this is what we're doing, this is where we're going, and this is what we're doing for our residents to keep them safe, expand choice. Also thinking of some of these manual tracking processes, they take a lot of time out of your day, right? So we needed to find something that helped us along the way, helped billing, save some time during the day so we could spend more time with our residents, be more resident facing. And that's something that eMenu has brought us to be more resident facing, with saving time, collaborating with clinical, culinary, billing, reception, salons, gift shops, all of that.
Yeah. I love that you're talking about this broad picture, because a lot of times we think about the processes that we have. Well, we know that paper trail is super helpful. Like, we know that goes from here to here to here to here. And we don't think about necessarily the costs involved, because it's a salaried individual, or there's a kind of hidden cost of the time, right? And so then we think, well, this point of sale system might be an extra cost, but what is the value on the back end of time saving, of efficiency, of service, of quality? that allows us to be able to do that. And I think you kind of paint that picture so clearly of it's not just for making sure that we deliver meals better and faster and more efficient. It's for all facets of the operation. The other thing you mentioned, which I'd love to dig into a little bit, is when you think about your point of sale system and using e-menu choice in your operation, how does that play into the supporting services beyond dining? You kind of mentioned some when you think about like the salon or therapy or maybe retail.
Yeah, it started out as, e-menu. In the culinary department, we're really going to focus on our dining services. But once we learned more about e-menu and what it could bring press homes wide, it really opened the door for us to implement in our salons and beauty shops, gift shops. We have areas at the front desk where we can put some of our ancillary charges. So bus rides, or we have fitness included. So our fitness department is able to put their physical therapy and aquatic therapies in through e-menu choice, which has saved their fitness instructors a ton of time to be able to spend that time with residents and be resident facing. With the reports you can pull from e-menu as well from fitness to say, you normally have a 30-minute session. And now that we're fully live in all of our 47 communities with dining services, we're rolling into phase 2. And what other areas like fitness can we bring into e-menu? We have the integration with point-click care for billing. Let's take advantage of it. So we're going to look into engineering, housekeeping, potentially therapy, all of those things to encompass everything we can to continue moving into the electronic world, saving time for billing, a lot of hands that go into these manual processes. So
yes,
as we can.
I love that you're looking at it from that broader perspective. And never once in any of this have you said the word revenues. And so I think from my vantage point, like I always talk about using point of sale to capture additional revenues because I work with a lot of for-profit operators, and that's important. They're always like, well, how can we maximize revenue? And a lot of times I think the missing piece is what you just described, which is it's not just about capturing that extra dollar. Maybe it's on the back end, saving that extra $2 in time and efficiency. I mean, just being able to save your fitness team and your therapist team from having to do all of that manual scheduling and the billing, how many more sessions could they fit into their day or their week or their month? And yes, there's a revenue component, but let's also think about the service to the residents. When you think about the rollout, right? Because you just said you've got it out in 47 communities for dining. Talk to us a little bit about some of the challenges you encountered during that rollout and how you addressed them.
Yeah. So again, one of the challenges was recognizing that this isn't just culinary. This is combination between many departments. So getting everyone involved from the get-go and explaining what e-menu is, what it's going to bring to the table, how it plays a role in keeping our residents safe, expanding choice, all of those things. The other piece that we found very early is to have project managers. We also have another project manager from the IT side that has also been very helpful for us with the printers and wiring and making sure everything's connected behind the scenes. That's so foreign to me, but it made everything streamlined in a way that everything was the same upon implementation. We had the same verbiage that we were using and explaining to every single site. So it was very clear, and it helped us along the way with building standards with how we implemented. So that was another huge piece that we found was very helpful that we learned pretty quickly, was having the project managers as well.
Yeah, no, I think that you mentioned the value across departments and getting those departments engaged, but having someone on the technical side who is running point on that, I know from my background and experience, it was always me as the project manager doing both the operational piece of the dining like you did, but also the technical. So it's like how many ports and I became way more technically engaged in the rollouts than I ever expected. Eventually was able to kind of kicking and screaming, drag IT in to help with that. But I think you make a critical point of get those team members involved and get them to have ownership. 47 locations is a lot.
Yeah, it was quite a task. And shout out to Joe Ray, who was our IT project manager. She did an amazing job and we couldn't have done it without her. So that was key, having IT alongside us the whole way.
When you think about the end users, and the end users aren't just the residents, but it's the staff, it's the families that are maybe dealing with the billing aspect of it. What kind of feedback have you gotten post rollout or during the rollout? And how is that shaping your kind of future on improvements with the system?
For over a century, Mary Kieffer has been a trusted leader in the food service industry. As a broadline distributor, we offer an extensive selection of products, delivering to 21 states through 10 distribution centers. We can help you create a thriving culinary culture by pairing quality products with customized solutions that elevate your residents' dining experience. Our team of registered dietitians provide unmatched customer service by modifying menus, selecting recipes, ensuring regulatory compliance, and more. Quality, value, and service are at the heart of everything we do. Mary Kieffer Foods puts the care back in healthcare.
Yeah, so kind of twofold with that. So I'll focus on staff first, and then we'll move into kind of families. All around feedback is great around what you can do with this system after orders are in the next day for tracking purposes. Staff love that you can go in and see what somebody ate. Family as well. Family can go in and see what their family member is eating, what their loved one is being served. Did they go to the salon today? Did they miss their appointment? Those kinds of things, which is great for everyone to see. For staff, it's great because we can track pre-ordering, who ate, who didn't eat, what they ate, all of those things, the preferences, hydration, nutrition, all of that is in there. It's just so much information that's great to see, along with individual access that eMenu allows too. So family and loved ones can go in and use that individual access to see what's being served.
I think that piece is so critical, right? Because when I think about something as simple as asking the staff to track how much Mrs. Smith has eaten at this meal, because the clinical team is concerned about weight loss or they're worried about nutrition. If it's a paper system, let's be honest, it's probably not happening, right? Or it's going to get pencil whipped or whatever. And so you don't get the true data. But when you have a system that allows you to press 2 or 3 buttons and be able to put in all the data that the clinical team needs for something like that, I think it's so important. It gets the team to buy in as well. And so I love that you're focusing on the broader uses of the point of sale. Again, not just the revenue piece, which I still think is very important, which I know is important, but it's not necessarily the biggest driver of why you guys use the system. So when you think about the family portal or the resident portal, have you found that your residents and families have gotten more engaged through that? Because, before it would be, I'm guessing, a cycle menu circled and set in, and that's how they managed that. And so I'd love for you to maybe expand a little bit on that piece of the puzzle.
I think the area where we find it the most beneficial for loved ones to be involved is in memory care areas or in care centers. Nobody knows better what their loved one likes to eat than their loved ones. So giving them the ability to go in and actually pick preferences is huge. It's been so helpful for loved ones to be a part of that. And I think it also encourages them to be able to see what's on the menu, help them pick food items that they really do like and that they do prefer. Same with in care centers. If somebody might be nonverbal, there are pictures built in, which has been tremendous to be able to turn the iPad around and be like, do you like this or this? So families can also help with that too through the individual portal, which has been huge for those areas to give them choice and actually let them choose what they want to eat. It's great.
Yeah, I love the dignity aspect of that. There's so many systems that I had worked with in the past or tried to be sold in the past where really good with data or really good with pricing or really good with inventory, but they don't necessarily think about the interface that's going to be resident and family facing. And I think kind of taking what eMenu does and just having that system for everybody, right? Staff gets the same visuals as resident and families, I think can make a huge impact, especially maybe even for like new staff coming on board who need to train on the system.
That's been huge for new staff coming in with integrations as well. Their resident picture pulls over along with any died information, all pulls over. So you can really make that resident feel special. Like you already know them, you know who they are coming in with that integration, which is great.
Yeah, the use and access to that kind of data, I think so critical when it comes to the dignity issue for residents that are with us, regardless of their care level. So, Mary, as we wrap up here on our conversation, putting your hindsight vision on, what advice would you give to operators, either large scale or even smaller operators looking at the bigger picture, when they're looking for a solution with a point of sale or technology partner?
Yeah, I think getting the teams involved from the beginning across the board was extremely beneficial. I think that would be my biggest advice is whether you're doing this at one site or 47 sites, getting your whole team involved to understand what you need, what are your pain points, where do we need to focus, and then getting the whole team involved, clinical, culinary, reception, billing, because this will touch everybody at the community. Residents ask questions, they hear about it, and they're so intrigued on what's coming, what's new. So getting everybody involved from the get-go, I think would be my biggest advice to anybody rolling out any point of sale system.
Awesome. No, I can't argue with any of that. Well, Mary, this has been a great conversation. The way you've approached this project, it's a massive undertaking with 47 communities, and to be able to see the internal benefits of a point of sale system can be eye-opening for any and all operators. So if anyone had any questions or wanted to pick your brain, how would you recommend they contact you or connect with you to learn more about Presbyterian Homes and Services or what you've done with this project with eMenu Choice? What's the best way they can reach you?
If you have any questions about Press Homes in general, you can visit presshomes.org. That will bring you to our general website, and then you can go from there. If you have any questions about how we rolled out eMenu or point of sale systems, kind of how we chose eMenu, any of that, feel free to email me. My email is mkieffer@presshomes.org. And then any eMenu questions, emenuchoice.com, and they can also get you in contact with me as well. I've worked very closely with that team, and they're an amazing team. So
perfect. Well, Mary, I appreciate you taking the time today to join me and having this great conversation today here on Tips from Trestle.
Thanks for having me, Aaron.
So there it is, everybody. Another one in the books. Thanks again for tuning in. Please follow, like, and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. And be sure to follow us on social media at Tips from Trestle. You can also learn more about the work I do by following me on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and even TikTok. And be sure to check out Trestle Hospitality Concepts at www.trestlehospitalityconcepts.com. I'm your host, Aaron Fish, and this has been another episode of Tips from Trestle.